podcast where we put you on the map. This is Ron Costa broadcasting live in the Mappable USA studios in Las Vegas. And today, folks, our show might be one of the most significant shows that we've done since we started this podcast because of this whole coronavirus crisis. And we're going to bring on some information today that's really going to turn heads. If you're looking for a check, or if you've got some issues with the problem here that's coming up with this whole crisis, you're going to want to listen to this podcast. It's all about the Trump's program, and we're going to throw in a little bit of opportunity zones as well. So speaking of opportunity zones, let's bring in Vicki Hutchmala from the QOZ Marketplace and the Opportunity Zones Authority. Vicki, how are you today?
Oh, I'm fabulous today, Ron. It's a perfect, beautiful spring day in Las Vegas, and we have a podcast that is very important, as you said. Our guest today is going to help small businesses take advantage of the Payroll Protection Act, the CARES Act, and help them to get the funds that they need, and I cannot wait to start.
Absolutely. So let's bring on our guest. Everybody knows him already. He's a friend of the show. We've had him on many, many times. Every time he comes on board, we think it's a great podcast, and he just outdoes himself every time. So let's introduce once again Jimmy Flores from Blue Acorn. Jimmy, how's it going today?
Hey, Ron. Hey, Vicki. How you guys doing?
We're fabulous.
All right.
I'm really excited to be on here. It's going to be such a great podcast. I mean, every podcast that I've done with you guys has been amazing. I really enjoy the service that you guys provide for the community, and I'm looking forward to this special podcast.
Yeah, as do you, Jimmy. You know, there's no one out there that's more on top of things that are going on in the world, and I really like the way that you kind of zero in on a problem and you figure out ways to attack it and solve it. So today, let's get into one of those things that everyone's talking about right now, and I know you've got some real interesting news to bring to our audience as far as like Vicki said, this whole CARES. Can you give us a little bit of background, first of all? What is the problem right now that people are? Give us the whole overview of the problem first.
Sure, and you know, it's a sombering problem, right? Because we're dealing with the global pandemic, where we're dealing with government-regulated shutdowns, and we're dealing with an economy that was booming like crazy, and now it was just completely shut. So because of this shut of the whole economy, not only just in the United States, but globally, businesses, small businesses are the ones that are hurting at the end of the day. And these small businesses, they can't not only get customers, but they can't afford to pay their people, which then rolls into laying off people having, you know, limited answers to go, and they can't even get new work because no one's open. It's a very interesting time. And I think that I just think that, you know, we have to band together to find a holistic solution for all these problems. And the only way that we could do it is through communication with each other and thinking outside the box. And that's why we're here.
So, Jimmy, what is Blue Acorn doing to solve this problem?
Sure. And I'll go into Blue Acorn a little bit, but I want to first talk a little bit about, you know, what specific problems there are. So right now, as I mentioned before, the economy shut down, right? People can't go to businesses. People are being laid off, and there's just so many different problems that are going on right now that is affecting our economy. However, the government, and you know, this is, you know, you don't really see much, you know, positive or these terms with government, but the government acted fast, bipartisan, fast, with passing legislation to help individuals and businesses stay afloat during this mandated shutdown. And so one of the programs was called the Paycheck Protection Program, which essentially incentivized businesses to apply for a short-term loan that converts into a grant, a forgivable loan, which is a grant, and they are going to use that money to pay rent, pay utilities, pay and rehire the employees that were essentially laid off or let go. And so this money, it was about $351 billion that was allocated for these small businesses. And when I say small business, this is the legal term of what a small business is by the Small Business Administration. And these businesses can apply to their bank or to an approved SBA lender to get access to this money. Now, $351 billion may sound like a lot, but it really isn't in the whole scope of things, especially when every single business around the country is shut down, minus the essential services. So there was a gold rush to get this money. Every single bank, every single lender, every business was applying for this thing. They were all bottled up. I mean, in 2018, the SBA only helped or only accepted 66,000 applications. There are over 30 million small businesses in the United States. So within 13 days, the SBA accepted 1.4 million businesses to go through this program and spent all of the $351 billion. That is only 5% of classified small businesses around the United States. So all of the mom and pops that you go to the restaurants, or maybe they're the 1099 workers that are helping you with whatever your work that you need, they were left out in the cold. The lenders let them down. And I don't really blame the lenders because, they had to figure this solution out. It was thrown at them. It's a national emergency. However, I will say this about the lenders. If you do $351 billion divided by 1.4, your average loan amount is around $250,000 per business. It might be even, I think it's higher. Don't quote me there. But
206,000, Jimmy.
Oh, there you go. And so those were the businesses that got the monies, and that's about 2.5 times what their monthly payroll would have been. So they're bigger, smaller businesses, right? And the lenders were getting paid, 5% per loan, or 5, 3, or 1% per loan. So it's looking like the lenders prioritized the bigger loans because they were getting more of the fees up front. And so a lot of the smaller borrowers, these businesses that really only had, let's say, $200,000 in revenue, or they only needed like a $20,000 loan, it's the same amount of time spent to process a $20,000 loan. It's the same as like processing a $200,000 loan. So, I might not be the smartest guy in the room, but you can kind of see where this is going, right? And so the second round, there was a big backlash of this. I mean, you started seeing companies that we loved. I mean, I love Shake Shack, great food. They got a $10 million essentially bailout when they didn't need it. They refunded their money back. Harvard School got $10 million. Ruth Chris Fine Dining got like $22 million, which was actually more than the minimum requirements. And this is just unfair when we have thousands, millions of businesses that just didn't get anything. So the second round, which was actually released today, the terms, the Congress and the White House came together today, and they're approving another round of $480 billion, where $125 billion will go towards and be reserved for underserved businesses, and the rest of the monies will be for just the normal smaller businesses. Now, as you know, in government, they still have to get the law officially approved on both chambers and then get it signed, and then it'll go into, they have to do the regulation and then prepare the banks. So you're not going to see this probably go into action until late next week. But I promise you this, though, organizations like banks or other lenders, brokers, or even us, we're lining up our applications as fast as possible because we learned our lessons from the first round. The money is going to run out faster than it did on the first time. That is an assumed fact, unless the SBA learned their lesson and they're gonna slow down the process a little bit. But it's also a catch-22 because the businesses need the money, right? So we expect the money to be run out, and what Blue Acorn has done, which is a fintech platform that we've created to service the underserved businesses and process their applications as clean, as efficient as possible for the lender, we have created a Fisher-Price process, an easy step-by-step guide for a borrower of a small business to go submit their application through us, and then we will bring it to the lender and represent the business to the lender and make sure that they get their money. And it is completely free for the business. And on the back side, because not many people know this, the loans are forgivable. We will provide a pathway to forgiveness on our platform, which helps both the borrower and the lender. And lenders really love this idea. We handle the customer service, we handle the processing, and we're doing it all on an advanced streamlined platform.
Wow. You left me speechless there for a minute, Jimmy. So how many applications have you processed, and how long does it usually take for once somebody comes to you, contacts you, or starts the process before they have a completed application?
And that's a good question. So right now, no banks are accepting any PPP apps officially to be funded because there is technically no money there.
Right.
But we've been building this platform the past 3 to 4 weeks. We've released the first part. We have the back end being released probably tonight or tomorrow. I did a post on Facebook and LinkedIn, right, on Sunday afternoon. We immediately got 100 applications from that one post.
Wow.
And now we're in the thousands. And today's Tuesday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
We're in the thousands. And we haven't even done any. We haven't done a media release. We haven't even set up our social media. The demand is so significant. It actually hurts because businesses need this money to survive, and their banks are not giving them the clarity that they need because the banks are bottlenecked. I mean, think about it. We're in a quarantine, right? Social distancing. A business owner can't just go walk into a bank right now and expect service. And the banks aren't lined up to receive phone calls because, they don't have the dedicated lines to do that. And a lot of lender banks, they're not technology sound to where their online platforms can handle the amount of requests that are being done at the exact same time. So even if a borrower submitted their application with their bank, they most likely have received nothing back. Maybe a simple thanks for the app, we'll get in touch with you, right? Or
yeah.
Sorry you didn't get approved on the first round. We'll help you out in the second one. We'll try our best. Well, that's not good enough. And so by rounding it up with ours and by working with multiple banks in many different states, we want to make sure that we service the underserved, even if we have to go all the way to Congress. And for my previous work in the opportunity zones industry, and how we were doing significant work there. Luckily, we have those relationships in DC and also in our local state governments. So we're doing our best to represent this base, and they just it's a simple process that they can go and do this whole thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's really amazing, Jimmy. I was wondering, though, is the fact that if I went there as a regular business owner and I submitted my application myself, the difference being I probably wouldn't even get anywhere with my submission, like you said before, because the banks don't have any money. Is that the big differential from what you're doing than, let's say, a business owner doing this themselves?
Yeah, so for one thing, a lot of the underserved customers that we're working with, the borrowers, unfortunately, they don't have a banking relationship like, let's say, a bigger business would, right? A lot of these people don't have an accountant. A lot of these people don't have a CPA or whatever that may be. These people are typically maybe utilizing like TurboTax or something like that to do their taxes, right? Or they might be a online, a one and done type of client for a bank where they just go in there sometimes, right, for whatever they need. So with our process, we've essentially created to be like a TurboTax, but for loans, for this particular loan program. And they by the individual going into the bank, they don't have the leverage because they're just one out of a million that's trying to go to the bank. But if they go to us, we have the one single voice, and we are representing the group and going to the bank and going, hey, we have 100,000 apps, yes, no. And if you don't say yes to us, and a majority of these are minority-owned businesses, women-led businesses, veteran-owned. So you're not willing to lend to veteran-owned businesses? Do you get my drift here?
Oh,
yeah, so you're leveraging it against the banks to make sure that they take your applications and don't just throw them in the get too later pile.
Yeah, and it's not the bank's fault. I understand it isn't, but at the same time, we are not going to let these businesses die. Like, we're not here to make friends, but we're also not here to make enemies either. We just have to be realistic with the situation. You've got to service these people that have lower loan amounts, that are underserved already, and that don't have the technical means to fight the good fight. So we have to do it for them, and we have to bring it to the banks and make them realize what our message is. And we are working with lenders right now. A lot of CDFIs, these are nonprofit lenders, right? They're great. I mean, we're working with a few local ones here and some community banks, right? But you have to stand your ground. You can't let them steamroll you.
Yeah, is this program specific to the PPP?
This is the Paycheck Protection Program, correct? And that's
okay.
the only program that we're focused on right now.
Okay, all right. So now if a small business owner uses your service, now this service is free to the business owner, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now if they go and they submit their application to you guys for processing, how can they track the progress? How do they know whether or not their application is being seen or processed, or if they're going to get the money at what particular point in time?
That's a great question. Our technology platform shows the status of their application, and we want to make it as transparent as possible and provide the service that they need. So ideally, they'll have a dedicated rep with us. They'll be able to see the status. They'll be able to see a dashboard.
Very good.
Okay.
Can any kind of business apply for this program, or is it restricted?
Even though we're targeting the underserved, really any small business that would qualify can go through our platform. We're not restricting to just one group. It's just that we've designed the platform for the underserved.
But does the program restrict any kind of business in general?
So the Paycheck Protection Program does have some restrictions, and I know that a group of senators are looking to restrict it even more, and make it service for businesses that truly need help, right? But in the original legislation, it was pretty much open game, unless you were delinquent on a previous SBA loan, or if you had federal crimes against for laundering or all those other legal jargon, right?
Right.
But it was pretty much an open program. I mean, I know that they were saying strip clubs can't apply and get qualified, but
I don't know if casinos can apply, though, can they?
I'm not too sure with casinos.
Well, the casinos can get their money straight from Harvard, as far as I'm concerned, right?
They'll get their money for the $1,200 stimulus checks. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So Jimmy, you mentioned that
right now that are they're aching. I know my mother, she loves her bingo, right? So she's waiting to go back.
Yeah, no, exactly. But you mentioned before about how you did a blog post or a Facebook post, and you got a lot of response off that. A lot of people signed up or got an account, submitted their applications and all. How are you marketing this right now? Are you going to? I know you're speaking to some pretty heavy hitters too, in government, et cetera. But is that your day these days? Just going around talking to people about this?
Because it's just time consuming. And we really aren't. We're not going to go down the paid marketing route. What we're doing is we're partnering up with organizations like chambers. We're partnering up with community leaders, and we're just really relying on the viralness of this program, the word of mouth, and just getting this in front of people that trust others that have gone through our process. A lot of the work that I'm also kind of leveraging too is my previous Opportunity Zone contacts, because a lot of these businesses that really need this help are in rural communities, right? So in Opportunity Zone, I mean, we were targeting the underserved. So the whole reason why Opportunity Zones were created was because during the recession, they couldn't recover fully. And so during this potential depression, what communities are going to get hit the hardest? opportunity zones.
Yes.
So we have to help these groups too, and a lot of the people that are in the industry, they have pivoted to helping their local communities or creating funds to when the dust settles, they'll go ahead and try to bring investments to these areas. But we got to help people now, the existing businesses now, and that's how we're doing it, is through our relationships, our network, and just working with big organizations that have access.
Yeah, what's interesting about that too. Go on, Vicki.
There's so many businesses that are small and don't have any expertise or knowledge of how to leverage anything that really, truly need the help. And this is a program that can actually help those businesses to get in line to get the funds.
Yes, this is and are you talking about the Paycheck Protection Program?
The Paycheck Protection Program, the application that you've created through Blue Acorn, the very small businesses, as you said, are the ones that truly need the help because they have nobody else to help them and they don't know where to even start.
Absolutely, and I'll even say something about Blue Acorn. This is not a Jimmy Flores production or unilaterally with Qualytics. We banded together with phenomenal entrepreneurs based out of Arizona and around the country to build this thing. And I mean, talk about like 7 CEOs, right, that have exited hundreds of millions of dollars worth of businesses, in the past, coming together and really building this thing to save our country. And so our team at Blue Acorn is just absolutely phenomenal. They've really stepped up when they needed to, and we've gotten a lot of support there. But like I said earlier, it was built with the mindset to help the underserved because they were the ones that were targeted to not get the loans processed in line first. We're talking to business owners that have multiple restaurants, and they put their application in day one. They're telling me horror stories. I'm talking about like their application didn't have enough information, or they had to resubmit their application, so they lost their place in line. They got rejected. Now they're waiting for the second one. Or some businesses didn't get any response back from the bank, and they've been banking with these banks for years.
Yeah, I hear the exact same thing.
Their banks.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like a frustration level like you would never believe, having to shut down to begin with, and then just, insult to injury, more frustration about not being able to take advantage of this whole program when you see other people doing it. And people are just like, they're losing their minds over this. And, unfortunately, until recently, there was no solution to this. And now everybody who's listening to this has got a business, want to take advantage of the PPP. Hopefully this is a really good resource that they should really get on board. Let's talk about those people before we kind of close this out. They go on your website, Jimmy, and they have to fill out some kind of application. What's that process like? How long does it take? What kind of documentation do I need to fill to create an account?
Sure. So it's Blue Acorn, blue as in the color, acorn as in the nut, blueacorn.co, blueacorn.co, not com, but .co.
Right.
And the application is super simple. It's a 4-step process. They click Get Started on the homepage. They go through a basic questionnaire so that we can figure out who this person is and what type of, do they have an LLC? Are they a 1099er? Are they a gig worker? Are they a franchise? It's super simple to start. And then once they answer all the questions, they give us their contact information to register on the back end. Then they get their profile and dashboard. They'll most likely have to answer a little bit more technical questions like, what was your 2019 payroll? How many employees did you have hired before February 15th? And then there are going to be documents that they have to upload, and there's a whole list of there. Like I know, like there's the Form 941, Form 944, the form if you're a 1099er, it's Form 1099, and it's super Fisher Price. So what I mean by that is that it explains everything clearly. We have you can ask for help with one of our representatives to assist you, and it should ideally take about 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, it is so dynamic. It is so simple.
It sounds easy.
And we're with you every single step of the way.
And then does the applicant ask for a certain amount of money, or does the system kind of spit that out what they're eligible for?
Yeah, so it's that. So it's based upon what it's 2.5 times what your payroll, your monthly payroll is, right? And we can spit that out, and that's for the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, if you need more money, there are other programs like the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. I know SBA offers money on their other programs, but right now we're only focused on the Paycheck Protection Program, and if you want to take the max amount, you can, but you can take less. And yeah, we figure it out. It's all automatic.
Okay, and then one last point. Tell us a little bit more about this the forgiveness program afterwards. How does that work?
Yeah, and that's funny that you bring that up, because not a lot of people understand this, right? And mind you, we don't really understand it. Not many people understand it. No one really understands it, okay? I'm not going to be here to tell you that we understand it. But what it is that the money that you're getting is dedicated to only go to certain things, right? If it's payroll to rehire your employees, if it's your rent, your utilities, or maybe some other small things, right? And you have to prove that you actually spent your money to that. And you have to, if you could show that within a period of 8 weeks, then you could essentially get your loan completely forgiven, or let's say you had to use some of that money for other things, that you can get your loan partially forgiven. And what we do is we make sure that we put you on a path of that forgiveness through our essentially our e-learning aspect, where it's just a click of a button. You upload the right docs, the proof that you actually spent the money there, and then we help process that with the lender, right, later on. And so once we learn more about what that underwriting process looks like, we're going to make sure to spit that out. Maybe that'll be another podcast, right? And,
there you go.
And then we can talk more about forgiveness. But as of right now, we're worried more about getting the money in the people's pockets and educating them on, hey, don't go spend crazy. You got to kind of follow these certain guidelines of how you can spend this, because I'm sure you don't want to pay back this balloon payment that's due in 2 years.
That's for sure too. Yeah. So Vicky, when I started this podcast, I said that every business owner should be listening to this podcast because of this PPP and coronavirus information. Was I right?
You were absolutely right on target, Ron. But why am I surprised?
Yeah.
No, you guys are great. You guys have always been huge support.
I'm just really psyched about the success and the way that this whole Blue Acorn is blowing up right now. It started out as like nothing basically, and then in a very short period of time, you guys are shooting up with all these apps. You know what? How ironic is it that if you were to graph Blue Acorn, it would probably be the same graph as coronavirus at the start, just completely going up. So
yeah. I don't know if I feel good about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're in the greatest country on earth, and we're designed for entrepreneurial. We have an entrepreneurial spirit here. However, I wouldn't ever want to wish this situation upon anyone, because many families, many businesses are going to go bankrupt. Many families are going to suffer, right? But we can't just sit on the side and just watch. That's not how we're designed as entrepreneurs. So we're going to do our very best to save these businesses, as many as we can, but we can't save everyone. So
That's true.
Yeah, we built an entrepreneurial product from a disaster, but I wouldn't wish this again on anyone.
Well, but you've taken the opportunity to use what you know to help the people that need the help. And as you say, not everybody is going to survive in these crazy times, in this economic atmosphere, but the more you can help to get them back on the road, even though that's going to be a difficult road, the better. That's on you, Jimmy, for having the vision to see what was coming and to do something to help people.
Yeah, and I mean,
kudos to you.
It takes a tribe. I'll tell you that, of really motivated people that are willing to take a risk. I mean, you and I and Ron have been working on the back end to try to figure it out too, with lenders, with businesses and the processes in between, sending the surveys out. But, at the end of the day, people had to take a risk and we had to kind of quit our day job to figure this out. And if there's an entrepreneurial upside, then great. But, I'd love to be measured, by how many businesses that we can save, and how many businesses that we could get funding. And if we have to go all the way to Congress, then we do it, right?
Absolutely.
We're not doing stuff now.
Yeah, and myself and Vicki, of course, Jimmy, we're going to be getting out the word on this from all Nevada and elsewhere, businesses of all sizes. We'll help you out any way that we can on this and be your Nevada guys out here. So we're really happy about that. And once again, if you're listening right now, you want to go to blueacorn.co and fill out that application, fill out that qualification form, because you have resources now. It's not all is not lost, because Jimmy, these are people who might have been rejected too, right? Can't they go to the site as well?
Yeah, so you got to let us know. There are many reasons why someone may have been rejected. It might have been because of a bank requirement for the bank they went to, whatever that may be. But these loans are 100% guaranteed by the SBA. And the statute guidelines from the SBA are somewhat pretty loose. So, if you've been rejected by your bank because of anything internally with your bank, then, come to us. We can figure it out. Our doors are open, and we want to help as many people as possible. So again, thank you for shouting us out with Blue Acorn, and we're serving the underserved. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely. Make us feel good, make them feel good, and help the country.
Right. Yep.
That's right.
Again, thank you, Jimmy Flores, for being a guest on the show. Thank you, Vicki, for co-hosting this. This is another great podcast episode. I know we're full of information on this one for sure, and hopefully this will be a great resource. This is one that should really, really go viral quickly, because everybody needs this product if you're a small business or really a business of any size. So, folks out there, you're listening to the Mappable USA podcast at mappableusa.com. Just go to that website, scroll down. You'll see all our syndication sources. Pick the one you like best. Subscribe, and you'll never miss another episode. If you want to be a guest on the show today like Jimmy was, there's a guest tab there. Fill that out. We'll see what we can do about getting you on the show. So once again, thank you all for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for all your support. And we'll be at you next week with another Mappable USA podcast. Have a great week, everyone.